Germany's recent federal elections have brought about a major political shift, with the center-right Christian Democratic Union, CDU, securing a significant victory. This result cements Friedrich Merz's position as the new chancellor, signaling a departure from Olaf Scholz's leadership and the governing coalition that struggled with internal divisions. Merz's win allows him to lead a more stable government by forming a coalition with the Social Democratic Party, SPD, similar to the grand coalitions that defined much of Angela Merkel's tenure. This structure provides him with a strong platform to enact his policies with fewer obstacles, ensuring that Germany's political landscape moves in a new direction. One of the most defining aspects of Merz's leadership is his foreign policy stance, particularly his evolving approach to relations with the United States and Ukraine. Initially maintaining a neutral stance during the campaign, Merz quickly adopted a more assertive position post-election. He strongly criticized what he perceived as U.S. interference in German politics, particularly from figures such as Elon Musk and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. He suggested that these actions were as concerning as those from Moscow and advocated for greater European autonomy. This marks a stark contrast from previous German chancellors who prioritized transatlantic ties. His views align with French President Emmanuel Macron's call for Europe to reduce its dependence on the US, signaling a potential pivot in European strategic alliances. Merz has also proposed discussions with the UK and France about nuclear deterrence, suggesting that Europe should not entirely rely on NATO's security umbrella. His administration is expected to push for a more independent European defense policy, emphasizing strategic self-sufficiency. Furthermore, Merz's stance on Ukraine is significantly more hawkish than his predecessors. While Scholz was often criticized for his hesitant approach to military aid, Merz has openly supported providing advanced weaponry, including Taurus missiles, and increasing defense spending beyond NATO's 2% GDP target. However, financing this military expansion remains a challenge given Germany's constitutional debt brake, which restricts borrowing beyond 0.35% of GDP. Though Merz has suggested modifying the debt brake, doing so would require a two-thirds majority in parliament, an uphill battle given opposition from both the far-right AfD and the Left Party. On immigration, Merz has taken a hardline stance, vowing to implement stringent border controls and overhaul Germany's asylum policies. He has criticized the EU's Dublin framework, which dictates that the first country of entry is responsible for processing asylum claims, calling it ineffective. His administration is expected to push for a complete restructuring of the asylum system and has floated the idea of offshore processing, similar to the UK's controversial Rwanda scheme. If implemented, these policies would mark a significant departure from Germany's traditionally open immigration policies. Closing borders, even partially, would put further strain on the already fragile Schengen Agreement, potentially encouraging other European nations to follow suit, leading to broader disruptions across the continent. Merz's economic policies are set to prioritize growth over strict environmental regulations. While he has expressed support for investments in renewable energy, he has made it clear that where green policies conflict with economic interests, the economy will take precedence. His administration is likely to push back against the European Commission's Green Deal, which has already faced resistance from various member states. Merz has also advocated for easing regulations on businesses and lowering corporate taxes in an attempt to revive Germany's sluggish economic growth. His softer stance on nuclear energy could influence broader EU policies, potentially increasing financial support for nuclear projects, despite Germany's previous decision to phase out its reactors. This shift could have long-term implications for the EU's energy transition and climate commitments. Another major issue is joint EU borrowing. Historically, the CDU has opposed collective debt measures, but Merz has signaled a more pragmatic approach, recognizing the necessity of continued financial support for post-pandemic recovery and Ukraine aid. This aligns him with Macron, potentially paving the way for greater fiscal integration within the EU. However, internal opposition within Germany and resistance from fiscally conservative member states could make joint borrowing a contentious issue. If Merz successfully navigates these challenges, it could lead to a shift in EU financial policy, reinforcing economic solidarity among member nations. Despite Merz's victory, the far-right Alternative for Deutschland, AfD, continues to gain political traction. The party performed strongly in several key regions, particularly in eastern Germany, and has solidified its position as a formidable force in the Bundestag. The AfD's rise is fueled by nationalist rhetoric, anti-immigration policies, and distrust of mainstream media. Their growing influence highlights the deep societal divisions within Germany, as well as a broader trend of rising populism across Europe. If economic instability or social unrest increases, support for the AfD could grow further, posing an even greater challenge to the CDU's dominance in future elections. Merz's leadership marks the beginning of a new political era for Germany and the European Union. His ability to lead without the constraints of a fragmented coalition provides an opportunity for decisive policy implementation. His alignment with Macron may push the EU toward greater strategic independence, while his economic pragmatism could reshape fiscal policies within the bloc. However, his strict immigration policies and prioritization of economic growth over environmental concerns could create new challenges and divisions. As Germany navigates this transformation, the broader impact on Europe remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that German politics and its role in the EU are set to undergo significant change. The coming years will determine whether Merz's leadership strengthens European unity or exacerbates divisions, ultimately shaping Germany's position in global affairs. While his policies present opportunities for economic growth and security enhancements, they also introduce potential risks, especially regarding migration, environmental commitments, and geopolitical alliances. Merz's ability to balance these competing priorities will define his tenure as chancellor and influence Germany's role on the world stage for years to come.